Hello, comic fans. Here's Earl Grey. About 16 years ago or so, DC did an experiment. They published comics like in the golden days, um, which means for the most part in a huge format, newspaper format, and they came really like newspapers to your household. And which means as well they did them in a serialized form. So it was one comic, one page of a comic each week. And there were 12 comics, series, serialized over the stretch of 12 weeks. So you do the math, it worked mathematically. But did it work storytelling-wise? Did it work art-wise? I have an opinion, and I want to show you the whole huge tome, which was reprinted now, was out of stock for a long while. And yeah, I was really on a hunt for this one here, couldn't get it. Now I'm really glad that I got it, even though I'm not an avid superhero reader. But I got really some fun out of it. So that as a spoiler, so to speak. On the whole format, I don't want to say gimmick, but the idea of publishing your stuff in this huge format. I mean, relatively seen, okay, it's much bigger than your usual comic book. But from a European standpoint, when you compare it to your European album format, it's a bit bigger, but not so much bigger than a European album format. So we spoiled European brats are pretty much used to this kind of format, almost. To be fair, this Batman one here by Azzarello and Edoardo Risso, they didn't use the page to its full advantage, in my opinion, even though this title section looks great, but it's lost on the story. So they could have used this space here. And right out the gate, this Batman story here looks pretty awesome. Despite telling a pretty pedestrian Batman tale, the story by Azzarello really holds no surprise for you. It's a fun crime noir story about a beautiful woman who winds up, and this is no spoilers because you really can get it from the very first page. She's the killer. She killed her rich husband. And so, yeah, the story is kind of lame, but look at the art here. This is beyond pretty. This is really fantastic. And yeah, you can say that this panel, for instance, or this sequence of panels within a panel wouldn't have been possible in a comic book. So yeah, there's good use of the amount of space here by Edoardo Risso. But yeah, Azzarello just delivers a solid story, nothing more, unfortunately. The next story is Kamandi, The Last Boy on Earth. And as you have already figured out, they did these stories here not as where they originally have been published, one page each and then the next story. Here they put all the stories together, so you can read each of these stories in continuity, or from start to finish, which is just reasonable, I think. And boy, this story here is really a fun one. It's not told like Kirby would have done it, not at all, but as you can see, it tells this post-apocalyptic story of Kamandi in a Prince Valiant style. It's really like Hal Foster would have done the story here. It has speaking tigers, zeppelins, and yeah, it's all these characters that were obviously taken from the Kamandi epos, put into a Prince Valiant thing here, and this looks just great. I mean, look at this gorilla evil dude here, the opponent of Kamandi. So even if this story here is all about warfare and the fighting between these different factions, which could have been boring under with a different art style, this looks just great, and it's totally crazy and bonkers, and really each page of this story here I would cherish. Next story in line is Superman, written by John Arcudi and drawn by Lee Bermejo. I read a review online about the whole edition and especially about this chapter here. And boy, the reviewer didn't like the story here at all. And I can honestly see why. First off, Lee Bermejo's art is, yeah, like he usually does, very photorealistic or hyper photorealistic, sometimes a bit too close to photos to my taste, but sometimes really yeah, stunningly great. You can have some questions about the color scheme here and yada yada, but overall, I mean, the art style really delivers. What's a bit lame, I have to say, I don't hate the story here, but maybe that's because I'm absolutely no Superman fan, so you can't disappoint me, because I don't really have any too great expectations about a Superman story. So yeah, we have a absolutely boring, lame, moping Superman here in the beginning, but this has some reasons, because of the aliens, and then he finds his stuff together. Superman is back to farm and gives them aliens a good punch and a bit more. So, I mean, this looks splendid, and even though the story is very foreseeable and maybe pedestrian, yeah, for a 12-page story, I was okay with it. In short, art is great, story not so. Somehow this is true for Dead Man by Dave Bullock and Vinton Hoyk. The story is a lot about witchcraft and magic and a lot of tropes that I can't care too much about, but the art and the page layouts are fantastic, taking full advantage of the format. In my opinion, they could have got rid of the white frame here and made the art a bit bigger. But anyhow, this looks great, and channeling some Darwin Cook here in a really nice and neat way here. So pretty good. In Green Lantern, we travel back to somehow the 50s. With this 50 style here in the title font and so on. Start in some pub there, and they wonder, where's Green Lantern? And we all wonder, where's Green Lantern? And maybe this was a bit frustrating when you read this in this Wednesday comic newspaper format. You read it in the first week and you wonder, where's a Green Lantern? And even in the next installment, we got some space fight of Green Lantern, and nothing more. This is just some random space fight, and has nothing to do with the story afterwards. So this is an interesting way of storytelling. I don't say that I dislike it. And then we have the body of Hal Jordan turning into some alien, and yeah, I don't want to spoil here everything, but you can guess that he will be saved by his buddy, Hal Jordan. And this looks very, very good. Was done by Kurt Busiek, who wrote this, and Joe Kimono, however you pronounce this guy, Joe Kimonos, who drew this in this somehow a bit nostalgic, somehow fitting art style, and there's even some really awesome page here. This isn't some kind of awesome page, even though maybe it doesn't take the story too much further. But anyhow, so now to one of the first highlights for me, and this is Metamorpho, the Element Man, written by Neil Gaiman and Michael Allred. Drew the stuff here, and despite of the story again being a bit bonkers, here it is really reflected in a bonkers art style in the most mad, mannish way. And of course, I mean this as one of the biggest praises I can deliver. Metamorpho looks a bit like, yeah, Silver Surfer done by Michael Allred, or Madman, of course, by Michael Allred. And they play around with the format, which I liked really about this comic the most. Not just with the design of the first page, but they change the format here. So you have just this huge panel. And this was obviously written and drawn with the later hardcover publication in their minds, because originally, of course, it was just 1 week this, and then you had to wait a week until you got the second half of this picture here. Plus some kind of mini promo comic, underneath it, which is really a nice touch, but not the best thing here. It goes on this way, but then we have a page with some kind of dice game beneath it, reflecting on the story. So this was pretty neat, but now it becomes really just a stroke of genius after this page here. Element Man, Metamorpho, and Element Girl, they stumble in the Antarctic, where they search for some ancient diamond. They stumble on this Roman Metamorpho Man. So 3 Metamorpho Men, 2 of them are good, and he's not so good. And they hunt him down through a periodic table of contents. Metamorpho, if you don't know it, he and Metamorpho Gal and the ancient Roman, they can change into each element, chemical element, as they wish. So this is done like this periodic table of elements that you knew and hated from school back then. So they change from element to element, hunting this guy down. I can't express how brilliant this idea is. It just works in this format. You have to have huge pages like this. And such an idea can just only spring to a brilliant comic mind like Neil Gaiman's, in my opinion. So now, oh yeah, we have one highlight, and now we have really the total opposite. I mean, Teen Titans by Eddie Berganza and Sean Galloway. I really couldn't care less about the art style, about the story, about the coloring, about all of it. So this is really, yeah, maybe just not my cup of tea. It's this kind of modern art style, which just gives me the creeps when I look at it. Fortunately, it was just the only story that really sucked, in my very humble opinion. Fortunately, it is followed by one of the most wonderful contributions to this collection named Strange Adventures by Paul Pope. And man, does he deliver. This is such a fantastic story. If I would be hard-pressed to name my favorite story in the whole book here, could be this one. There are some close contenders later on, but hey, blue mandrills right on the first page, drawn in Paul Pope style. And it's really not about the art here, it's really the story as well. This is very cleverly written, and Adam Strange does some one or two liners that question his own comic book reality, and there are really neat ideas. Well, I don't know if they were followed in the original Adam Strange stories. Just look at the layout of the page here, which makes total sense in terms of storytelling as well. It's not just an art gimmick. Or look at, again, at these blue mandrills. I really love these guys. And let me tell you, the end is really fun as the whole story. Fantastic. Another favorite of mine, for totally different reasons, is Supergirl, written by Jimmy Palmiotti and drawn by his gal, Amanda Connor. Supergirl has to take care of Streaky the Super Cat and Crypto Super Dog. They behave totally crazy. For instance, Streaky hunts this airplane just because there's a mouse on the back fin here on the plane. Look how the cat really doesn't enjoy this this decoration of the plane at all, so much that it tears the fin from the plane. So yeah, the plane goes down, and Supergirl has to save the whole stuff, the whole scene, and so on. And she doesn't know, yeah, what to do with these crazy pets there, and goes to Aquaman for help, because he's the guy who talks to animals. But he has to explain to her that he's the one for the ones without legs. You want me to tell you what a bucket of shrimp are thinking? Fine, I'm your man. Interested in finding out how much a dolphin can't stand a 400-pound tourist hanging off its fin in a theme park? I can do that as well. What pisses off a whale? No problem. How sharks hate Steven Spielberg? Done. That's easy stuff for me. If it's got legs, 2, 4, whatever, I most likely can't help you, other than a seal if it's got fur. So even if this is basically a story about a crashed plane and disturbed animals and saving the Earth once more from this alien ship in the shape of a bone, basically, because Crypto has to take care of it. Regardless of all these tropes, it's just a breath of fresh air in this book. Metal Man by Jose Garcia Lopez and Kevin Nolan, who delivered the art. written by Dan Didio. It's about them robots getting in the middle of a bank robbery, and this is just a silly story drawn in a very compelling art style. Really lots of fun. You don't have to question the logic of the story here, and then you will be fine. This was really a fun and easy read. While Wonder Woman, written and drawn by Ben Caldwell, yeah, an easy read it wasn't really at all. I mean, somehow the story has its its upsides. It's an experimental stuff. It takes use of this format in a totally different way, and in filling it with not only with words, but with tiny panels. But you have to work through these pages, which mimic on some of the best of them Nemo in Slumberland, even though never achieving really somehow the quality or the enjoyment that you can get out of an old Nemo in Slumberland page. But anyhow, it's there, and really I appreciate it. But yeah, maybe the art style is not so my favorite art style. But when he changes the proportions, when there are some bigger panels on which you can anchor your eyes onto, then it becomes a bit more compelling. Yeah, but overall, this is really just work. But I appreciate the effort, and that someone tried to use the format here. In contrast, in big contrast to the Kuberts here, Joe Kubert and Adam Kubert, who wrote this, they delivered a Sergeant Rock story like they could for some comic book. Just took the 9-panel grid here, and which is nice. Story-wise, it's really nothing exciting, I'd say. It's Rock and his dudes clobbering some Nazis, and that's it. Very basic heroism, I would say. In the last war, the US were clearly on the good side of things. So yeah, you can enjoy it just for nostalgic reasons. Remember when the US were a country that you can count on. Then we come to Flash Comics, drawn by Karl Kerschel. Objectively speaking, probably the best, or surely the best comic in this collection here. Art and story, what he did here with us dividing the page into separate strips in the beginning, and what he does on the later pages, it's just really fantastic. It's maybe not my favorite story because I'm not so much into Flash and into the pseudoscience of the superheroics here, speeding around and creating some black holes in the process. But it has so much that even if I'm not in favor of the story genre, I really liked the story here, and the art is just fantastic. And we haven't seen the best yet. The best is yet to come. Come on. Flash breaks once again all the laws of physics with his, as I said, pseudo-comic, superheroic physics stuff here. But could it have been done better than here? Flipping through all kinds of comic timelines, and which is very fitting because this is obviously a lot about time travel. And the art reflects this, and all the choices Karl Kerschel did here. And look at these 2 pages. The tower, bit Tower of Babel-like, or by the Gorilla Grodd here. And this is reflected by the circular arrangement of the panels here. But that's not the only reason why Kerschel did this way. And the last page is beyond gorgeous. You will drop down on your knees when you read the story here and read the last page. It's really fantastic. And thinking about it, even with just my reservations about the whole genre of superheroics, messing up physics laws and stuff like this, this is actually maybe even a bit better than the Paul Pope one. It's an impossible, not to say unfortunate task to follow such a perfect superhero story. And Walt Simonson and Brian Stelfreeze deliver here, but of course not on the cosmic heights of the Flash story. This is much more a normal, maybe a bit pedestrian tale of Catwoman trying to rob Jason Blood or Etrigan, and there's a witch involved and some really stellar artwork, of course. Just the story is not much more than you can expect from this constellation. Even the end is foreseeable, and yeah, I enjoyed it, but of course after this sugar high with the Flash story, it's a bit of a downer. Back to comic craziness with Kyle Baker and the last longer story in this collection with our hero Hawkman. He and his army of birds save a plane, and the plane robber turn out to be an alien. And after reading so much about superheroes and aliens, you find this almost, normal. Of course, yeah, he's an alien, for sure. And there are spacecrafts involved, and they crash down on some Dino Island. So it's the Lost World once again. Here, just this typical Kyle Baker girl there with the huge glasses, and then yeah, it's Jurassic Park, or however, once again, our Lost World meets Star Wars. But of course, it's just taking the best parts and mashing them up into a short, fun story, and even the other superheroes arrive, and including Aquaman on a seahorse, who chokes the life out of the dino, even though maybe the dino will survive, because basically this is family-friendly entertainment. And then we have 2 one-pagers by one Plastic Man and one Creeper, one-pager, and back matter with sketches and some remarks about all these stories and creators, which you probably didn't got with the newspaper installments, and biographies, and yeah. On the bottom line, a really fun package. Thanks for listening and watching. Goodbye.